Forced to marry, a cold millionaire, a secret heiress, unleashes a truth that shocks everyone. Imagine walking down the aisle, not out of love, but because you have no other choice, for Helena Duard, or as she's later revealed to be, Helena Almeida. This is her reality. Forced into a marriage with Gabriel Fars, a man whose name commands power and whose presence exudes control. She steps into a world of opulence and secrets. But what no one knows, not even Gabriel himself, is that Helena carries more than just her quiet strength. She carries a legacy buried in betrayal and revenge. This isn't just a story about two people bound by convenience. It's about trust, unraveling, truths surfacing, and hearts transforming in ways neither expected. The scene opens in the grand ballroom of the Fars estate, where crystal chandeliers cast shimmering reflections across marble floors like scattered diamonds. It's a gala filled with laughter, whispers, and the kind of privilege money can buy. At its center stands Gabriel Fars, a billionaire whose sharp jawline and commanding demeanor make him untouchable, or so everyone thinks. Beneath his polished exterior lies a ticking clock, an ultimatum from his father demanding he marry before turning 35 or lose his position as CEO of Faraz Enterprises. To Gabriel, marriage is nothing more than a transaction, a means to secure his empire. And then there's Helena, standing quietly near a gilded fountain, her emerald gown understated yet magnetic. She seems insignificant at first glance, the perfect solution to Gabriel's problem. Little does he know, this woman will change everything. Helena's calm demeanor masks a storm within. Her decision to marry Gabriel wasn't made lightly. It was calculated, born out of necessity, rather than affection. Unbeknownst to him, she is the daughter of Rafael Almeida, a name once synonymous with wealth and success until their empire crumbled under mysterious circumstances tied to the Fars family. As the newlyweds navigate their arranged union, cracks begin to form beneath the surface. Gabriel starts noticing things he hadn't anticipated. Helena's effortless charm among global investors, her fluency in languages he'd never mastered, and her ability to command respect in rooms designed to intimidate. Who is this woman who agreed to become his wife? And why does she seem to hold secrets far deeper than any ordinary person should? Their dynamic shifts when they travel to Milan for a high-stakes business deal. Here, Helena proves herself indispensable, navigating negotiations with a poise that leaves even Gabriel unsettled. While her competence impresses the titans of industry, it also raises questions in Gabriel's mind. Is she truly as inconsequential as she appeared during their wedding? Or is there something more, a motive hidden behind her serene gaze? The tension between them grows thicker with every passing moment, culminating in a private exchange where Gabriel confronts her directly. "What's your angle, Helena?" he demands, his voice laced with suspicion. Her response catches him off guard. "Maybe I'm not here to take anything at all." In that instant, Gabriel realizes she's not just a pawn in his game. She's a force to be reckoned with. But the truth doesn't come without consequences. Back in Lisbon, at a family summit, hosted by Gabriel's formidable father, Antonio Fars, Helena's carefully constructed facade begins to crumble when accusations arise about discrepancies in her background. She finds herself cornered, with the room holding its breath. Helena makes a confession that shakes everyone, including Gabriel, to their core. "My name isn't Duard," she says, her voice steady, despite the weight of her words. "It's Almeida. I am the daughter of Rafael Almeida." Gasps ripple through the crowd as the magnitude of her revelation sinks in. Not only has she exposed her true identity, but she's also laid bare the history of betrayal, connecting their families. Yet amidst the chaos, Helena looks directly at Gabriel, her eyes softening. "I hope you will trust me," she pleads quietly. This pivotal moment marks a turning point in their relationship. Gabriel's initial shock gives way to admiration and something deeper. He begins to see Helena not as a convenient arrangement, but as a partner who has faced unimaginable challenges with resilience. However, the path forward isn't easy. Trust takes time to rebuild, especially when surrounded by those determined to tear them apart. Isabella, Gabriel's former fiancée, and now a lingering shadow from his past, seizes the opportunity to exploit Helena's vulnerability. Meanwhile, Antonio's scrutiny looms large, testing whether their bond can withstand the pressures of legacy and loyalty. As the story unfolds on the cliffs of Cascais, away from prying eyes and judgmental gazes, Gabriel and Helena find themselves alone, bathed in the golden light of dawn. Here, amidst the rugged beauty of nature, Gabriel makes a gesture that redefines their relationship entirely. Dropping to one knee, he offers her not just a ring, but a promise, a vow to build something real together. "Marry me again, Helena," he says, his voice steady, yet trembling with emotion. "Not out of obligation, but because you choose me." For Helena, the moment is both overwhelming and liberating. She spent years protecting herself, guarding her heart against pain and betrayal. Yet here stands Gabriel, offering her a future built on trust and mutual respect. Will she accept? Can they truly move beyond the shadows of their pasts? With each twist and turn, forced to marry, a cold millionaire, a secret heiress, unleashes a truth that shocks everyone, keeps viewers hooked, exploring themes of identity, redemption, and the transformative power of love. It's a tale that reminds us how even the most guarded hearts can open, revealing layers of strength and vulnerability we never knew existed. But as the sun sets over the Portuguese coast, one question remains unanswered. Will Gabriel and Helena's newfound connection survive the trials ahead, or will the ghosts of their histories pull them apart once more? Stay tuned for the next chapter, where passion meets peril and the stakes climb higher than ever before. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the cliffs of Cascais, Helena's mind raced with questions. Gabriel's proposal had been unexpected, yet it felt like the inevitable next step in their tumultuous journey. But how could they move forward when so much still lay unresolved? Her revelation about her true identity as Helena Almeida had sent shockwaves through the Fars family, and Antonio's icy glare during the summit was proof enough that this battle was far from over. Isabella, ever the opportunist, had already begun circling, looking for cracks in their fragile alliance. And then there was Helena herself, her heart torn between the vengeance she'd sworn to deliver and the love she hadn't intended to find. Gabriel sensed her hesitation, his fingers tightening around hers. "We'll face them together," he said, his voice firm but laced with vulnerability. It wasn't just a promise. It was a plea. For years he'd relied on his own strength, building walls to shield himself from betrayal. But now, standing on the edge of something real, something raw, he realized he couldn't do it alone. Helena turned to him, her hazel eyes searching his face. She wanted to believe him, to trust that they could weather whatever storms awaited them. Yet the weight of her past pressed heavily on her chest. The Almeida name wasn't just a legacy. It was a burden, one she'd carried since childhood. Could she truly let go of the anger and pain that had defined her for so long? The tension followed them back to Lisbon, where whispers of Helena's confession spread like wildfire among the elite circles. Board members who had once praised her brilliance now eyed her with suspicion. Even Clara, Gabriel's loyal assistant, seemed uneasy, her usual efficiency tinged with caution. "Are you sure about this?" Clara asked Gabriel one evening, as they reviewed documents in his study. Her tone wasn't accusatory, but concerned. Gabriel didn't hesitate. "I've never been surer of anything in my life," he replied, his gaze unwavering. Still, doubt lingered in the air, a reminder that not everyone would accept Helena or their relationship as easily as he hoped. Meanwhile, Isabella grew bolder, exploiting every opportunity to undermine Helena. At a charity gala hosted by the Farrs Foundation, she cornered Helena near the bar, her crimson dress a stark contrast to Helena's understated elegance. "You think revealing your little secret will save you?" Isabella sneered, her voice low but venomous. "You're playing a dangerous game, pretending to be someone you're not." Helena met her gaze coolly, refusing to rise to the bait. "I'm not pretending anymore," she said evenly. "Unlike some people, I have nothing left to hide." Isabella's smile faltered for a moment before she recovered, her expression sharp as glass. "We'll see how long that lasts." Back at the estate, Antonio summoned Gabriel to his private office, the room dimly lit by a single desk lamp. The elder Farrs sat behind his mahogany desk, his silver hair gleaming under the soft light. He gestured for Gabriel to sit, his piercing gaze assessing. "Your mother would be disappointed," he began, his voice heavy with disapproval. Gabriel stiffened, his jaw tightening. "Mother believed in loyalty and integrity," he countered. "Helena has shown both, despite everything." Antonio leaned back, steepling his fingers. "Loyalty doesn't erase history, Gabriel. The Almeidas were our rivals, our enemies. Do you really think marrying one will heal old wounds?" The conversation left Gabriel unsettled, but it also strengthened his resolve. He returned to Helena, finding her in the library surrounded by stacks of books and financial reports. She looked up as he entered, her expression softening when she saw the storm brewing in his eyes. Without a word, he crossed the room and pulled her into his arms, holding her as if afraid she might slip away. "Whatever happens," he murmured against her hair, "we'll get through it together." Helena nodded, leaning into his embrace. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future where she wasn't defined by her family's past, a future built with Gabriel. But the calm was short-lived. A letter arrived the next morning, its contents shaking Helena to her core. It was from an anonymous sender, threatening to expose not only her connection to the Almeida scandal, but also evidence linking the Farrs family to their downfall. The implications were devastating. If the truth came out, it wouldn't just destroy Helena. It would shatter Gabriel's empire and everything he'd worked for. Panic clawed at her throat as she read the words over and over, trying to make sense of them. Who could have sent it? And why now? Gabriel noticed her distress immediately, his instincts kicking in. When she finally showed him the letter, his reaction was swift and decisive. "We'll fight back," he said, his voice steady, despite the turmoil inside. Together, they began unraveling the mystery, tracing the letter's origins, and piecing together clues that pointed to a shadowy figure within their inner circle. Every lead brought them closer to the truth, but also deeper into danger. Someone close to them wanted revenge, and they weren't going to stop until they got it. As tensions escalated, Helena found herself revisiting memories she'd tried to bury. She remembered her father's final days, his voice filled with regret as he spoke of the alliances and betrayals that had led to their ruin. "Never let pride blind you, Helena," he'd told her. "Sometimes survival means letting go." Those words haunted her now, echoing in her mind as she grappled with the choices ahead. Could she follow his advice and walk away from the vendetta that had consumed her life, or was it too late to turn back? The climax approached rapidly, culminating in a tense board meeting where all secrets threatened to spill into the open. Isabella presented damning evidence against Helena, her accusations cutting through the room like a knife. Gabriel stood beside Helena, his presence unwavering, but even he couldn't shield her from the scrutiny. Just as it seemed the tide was turning against them, Helena stepped forward, her voice clear and resolute. "If you want the truth," she declared, "then hear it, all of it." What followed was a revelation that stunned everyone, including Gabriel. It wasn't just about her past or her family's legacy. It was about redemption, forgiveness, and the power of choosing love over hatred. The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. For a moment, it felt as though time itself had stopped. Then slowly, Gabriel reached for her hand, his touch grounding her. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. As the camera pans out, capturing the couple standing side by side, the audience is left breathless, waiting to see whether their bond will withstand the ultimate test or crumble under the pressure of truths too painful to bear. As Helena and Gabriel stood on the cliffs of Cascais, the weight of their journey pressed heavily on them. The horizon stretched endlessly before them, a blank canvas, waiting to be painted with the colors of their choices. But just as they began to believe they had left the shadows of their past behind, an unexpected twist sent shockwaves through their fragile peace. A courier arrived at the estate later that evening, delivering a sealed envelope addressed to Helena. Inside was a document, a legal notice, claiming ownership over the remnants of the Almeida Empire, signed by none other than Isabella. Her schemes, it seemed, were far from over. Gabriel's fists clenched as he read the letter, his protective instincts roaring to life. "This isn't about business," he growled, pacing the room. "It's personal." Helena, however, remained eerily calm, her eyes scanning the pages with a focus that bordered on detachment. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady, but laced with resolve. "She wants to break me, Gabriel, to prove I'm not strong enough to hold what's left of my family's legacy." She set the papers down, her gaze meeting his. "But she underestimates us." The stakes had never been higher. If Isabella succeeded in her claim, it wouldn't just dismantle Helena's efforts to rebuild her family's name. It would expose vulnerabilities within Faraz Enterprises, threatening everything Gabriel had worked for. Yet, instead of fear, Helena felt a strange clarity. This wasn't just about reclaiming her past. It was about securing their future. Together, they devised a plan, one that required trust, strategy, and a willingness to confront their deepest fears. The confrontation came days later in a high-stakes board meeting held at the Far's headquarters. The room buzzed with tension as shareholders and executives gathered, their whispers filling the air like static electricity. Isabella entered with confidence, her crimson dress a stark contrast to Helena's understated elegance. She carried herself like a woman who already believed she'd won. But Helena, standing beside Gabriel, exuded a quiet strength that silenced the room when she began to speak. "I came into this world carrying the weight of a shattered legacy," Helena said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "I could have let bitterness define me, but I chose something else. Hope. Hope that even the broken can be rebuilt." She turned to Antonio, her gaze unwavering. "Your family played a role in my family's downfall, but I don't stand here today seeking revenge. I stand here because I've proven my loyalty to this company, to its values, and to the man I love." Her words hung in the air, heavy with emotion. Isabella scoffed, stepping forward. "Loyalty? You're a fraud, Helena, a wolf in sheep's clothing." But Helena didn't flinch. Instead, she produced evidence, a trail of documents proving Isabella's involvement in sabotaging key deals, including the Milan supplier crisis. "Fraud is a strong word," Helena countered, her tone icy yet composed. "But perhaps you should look closer to home before casting stones." The room erupted in chaos as board members demanded answers. Isabella's composure cracked, her mask slipping to reveal the desperation beneath. For years, she had manipulated situations to maintain her grip on power, but now, faced with undeniable proof of her deceit, she unraveled. Antonio, visibly shaken, dismissed her from the board, severing ties with the woman who had once been poised to join their family. With Isabella's schemes dismantled, the board unanimously voted to support Helena's efforts to restore the Almeida name, acknowledging her contributions to Faraz Enterprises. It was a victory not just for Helena, but for Gabriel, who realized that true strength lay not in control, but in partnership. As the meeting concluded, Gabriel pulled Helena aside, his expression softening. "You did it," he said, pride evident in his voice. "Not just for your family, for us." Helena smiled, leaning into him. "We did it," she corrected gently. "Together." In the weeks that followed, Helena and Gabriel worked side by side, merging their strengths to build a future rooted in trust and mutual respect. They traveled to Lisbon, visiting the ruins of the Almeida estate, where Helena planted a single rosebush, a symbol of renewal and hope. Back in Cascais, they hosted a small gathering of close friends and allies, celebrating not just their victories, but the resilience that had brought them this far. As the sun set over the cliffs, casting the ocean in hues of gold and crimson, Gabriel took Helena's hand, the emerald ring glinting under the fading light. "Do you remember what you said to me on the jet?" he asked, his voice tinged with nostalgia. "That maybe I wasn't entitled to your secrets?" Helena chuckled softly, squeezing his hand. "And do you remember what you said to me on this very cliff? That you choose me, not out of obligation, but because you want to?" He nodded, pulling her closer. Every day, Helena, every single day, their journey hadn't been easy, fraught with secrets, betrayals, and moments that tested their resolve. But through it all, they had discovered something far greater than wealth or power: love. Not the kind born of convenience or duty, but the kind forged in fire, tempered by trust, and strengthened by vulnerability. As the waves crashed against the shore below, Helena rested her head on Gabriel's shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. The road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but together they knew they could face anything. After all, they weren't just survivors, they were builders, crafting a legacy not of empires, but of hearts. And in that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the Portuguese coast, they found peace.